Okay, recorders are on.
All right, this is the city commission meeting, Thursday, May 15th, 2021, a little after 6 at the city commission chambers. Our invocation tonight will be given by Chris R.S., and I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so would you please stand?
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gift of family, friends, life, and love. We pray for your healing hands upon our community as the new outbreak of COVID is starting to hit us. We pray for your healing hands upon our world and our nation. Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance tonight as we come together to do the good work of your city. This we pray in your heavenly name. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yep.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yep.
Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Mayor Litchfield.
Here. Are there any considerations of changes or, deletions to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I ask that we move item number 7, A through D, new business, up ahead of the executive session.
Okay.
7, new business?
Yes, all those items. That way, since we have an executive session, if it gets too lengthy, I don't want the general public to have to wait too long, as well as we have somebody representing one of the items tonight, and I don't want them to have to wait past that.
All right. Any other changes or deletions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the agenda as corrected.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as corrected.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Okay, as we have no public comments tonight, we'll go on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent without discussion or vote. And the items we'll be voting on is the approval of the commission meeting minutes for April 8th, the work session notes for April 22nd, and the commission meeting minutes for April 22nd. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
All right. Next on the agenda is bids and contracts, and it's the approval of the State of New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Department intergovernmental, well, whatever, agreement. Contract number 22-624-4000-0086. Oh, there she is. Clara Ray will represent that.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager, City Clerk. What I come before you today is the contract to continue the Foster Grandparent and Senior Companion Program with the City of Tucumcari. And those are two separate grants. And Foster Grandparent is in the amount of $49,202. Senior Companion Program is in the amount of $53,860 for a grant total of $103,062. I would answer any questions or respectfully request your approval.
Commissioner Arias, you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Moya?
No.
Commissioner Villanueva?
No.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this service agreement, this long-term, aging of long-term service department.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I'm typing.
Was that a motion round? Yeah. I'll second.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Okay, the next item, thank you, is an agreement for engineering services between the city and Smith Engineering for water system PER.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
The city solicited and received proposals for a PER for water system, and we received proposals and selected an engineer, and we made or pending an agreement for $50,000. It's $46,349.94 without gross receipts tax and $50,000 with. And these PERs are required for future funding on our water system projects. And it's funded with a NMFA grant for $50,000 with no city match. So at this time, I'd like to ask for your approval.
Okay, Commissioner Villanueva, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Moya? No. Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
None from me, please.
Okay, Commissioner Arias?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept this agreement for engineering services between the city and Smith Engineering.
I'll make a motion, we accept this agreement for engineering service between the city and Smith Engineering for the water system.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, next is new business. A is the contractor's agreement between the city of Tucumcari and Clara Ray regarding senior center.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be presenting that. It's been no secret that Claire does quite a bit for our local senior center. Without her, we'd be in a deep hole. I know following this for quite some time since I was at community development and working on some of the grants that came along with the operations of the senior center. There's quite some time we were operating in the red for a bit. And since then, ever since Claire has been on board under contract, she's done some amazing things out there. And I understand it's not just Claire herself, but she has the guidance and the leadership to make sure everything's running top notch. So with that being said, there's two different contracts in front of you tonight. I'd like the commission to decide which route they'd like to go, which contract. There's also a breakdown with the Excel spreadsheet in there. And most of this funding for that position comes through the state. We have a certain allocation that we provide to the state, a match, if you would, I guess, that goes to the state, but that encompasses everything from general services to food to whatnot, operations, utilities, you name it. We do our part as a city, and it's minimal compared to the overall budget that we have. In Clara's contracts, minuscule, there's not very much that comes out from the city. So I know there's been some concerns previously, but I have no concerns. We have it budgeted, we're ready to move forward. And the contract this year has been structured in a way where we're able to work towards maybe getting it in the budget to account for a full-time person on site. But at this time, I think we're in the best hands with Clara right now, and I respectfully ask for your approval of the contract.
You said two contracts.
One's right behind the other.
And both the total, what's the total in the first one?
Let me get to it, the first one.
Is that the 27,300?
Let's see. So the first, page 26.
So the first one is all grants, right?
So the first, like I said, there's two variations. There's one that's kind of stepped out to a point to get towards that budget we need to account for. Right now, it looks like it is in the total of 39,000. Moving forward from 2022 through 2023, it would go up to 53,000. And then 2023 to 2024 to go up to 66. And again, the reasoning behind that is the hours that Clara puts in, it's above and beyond what you'd expect through the contract.
Right.
It's not in an effort for her to make more money off of us as a city. It's in an effort to get us into a place where we can start budgeting for a full-time individual.
So you're looking at 66,000?
No, sir, this year would be 39,000. The other option with the other contract would be 26,000 per year for this upcoming fiscal year. After that, it would go up to 27,300. And then 2023 through 2024 would be a total of 28,665.
Okay, you getting me confused here. You said there's two contracts.
Correct. There's two
But
different
what
options.
is the total for the consulting fee?
So the total
For
For
both
this-
contracts on the consulting fee?
for the most current fiscal year, coming up July 1, 2021, one option starts at 39,000 per year, and the other contract starts at 26,000 per year.
Why such a difference if it's the same person?
Again, there's some different things that are factored into there. It's in an effort to get to the point where we have the full-time budget, what it would cost to pay somebody full-time hours as well as the highest level of benefits.
But this is a 4-year contract.
Correct,
And here it says that the contract goes up every so often.
correct.
So actually, what is it on the 4th year? What is the total of consulting fee we're talking about?
A cumulative sum of all three combined, or all four combined, or just for
Just
that
a
last
year, let's say at the last of the year, the 4th year, how much will Mrs., the consultant person be making?
It's either 66,000 or 28,665.
What? I'm really confused,
Me
okay.
too. What's this?
66,000 might be at the end of the 4 years.
So we're looking at page 46 as well as comparing it to page 52.
Correct.
I see 52 here, and 52 has 26, 27, 28. And the other
Okay,
one,
now I see. Okay.
and the other one is what page?
Page 46.
Of 80.
Or the other one?
So page 46 details, as I'm understanding, details as if to get us to the point where we would be hiring somebody to take over the position.
Correct.
Okay.
But don't you have other people working there?
We do.
Do they do anything?
They do.
It's
Yes,
on
sir.
this, it says the 2 at the bottom, but it's right there.
No.
You got it?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. 66, but this will be at the end of the 4th year, she will be making 66,000 on the contract itself.
Correct. And that, again, that's in an effort to make sure that the person, if we were to hire somebody after this contract expires, we have it in the budget.
Why are we making it a 4-year? Why don't we make it a 2-year contract? Because this is a big salary, and this salary should be,
To the 3-year.
Isn't that what she made
May I
before?
explain?
it
Yes.
says 4 years contract.
Ooh, coffee. I'm not sure if we made an error. I don't see where it says 4 years. It's a 3-year contract. So 21 to 22, so this year would be 1 year. 2022 to 2023 would be the 2nd year. 2023 to 2024 would be the 3rd year. This is the goal. Right now, if there were an employee who was the director of the senior center, the city, or the grant, whoever, would be paying $67,606.
And I believe that was the amount that the previous senior center director was probably making around that amount.
Yeah, but at that time, we were also incorporating other communities too. Remember? And so that's a difference on the responsibilities.
I'm sorry, she was not. She was hired after the programs were given up.
Oh, that's right.
So it was just the city.
How long did she last?
8 months?
Yeah.
Not a year.
Was there a reason why she left or what?
I believe there were some personal things.
Right.
But the other thing is that, it's a bit of a monster. Not only do we have to, we have our local requirements, we have our state requirements, and we have our federal requirements. And so it's not an easy task. It really does. There's a lot of regulations. Things change. We have to pivot and move, and lots of requirements, lots of things that happen. So I'm thinking that it was probably a personal reason, that was her reason for resigning.
Let me ask you a question. If we
Sure.
go into this contract with you, would there be somebody being trained? Because if you, let's say, God forbid, that something happened to you, then we're out to lunch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see,
And
and it seems like we're not training anybody
We're working on it.
Uh,
So we started, so Mary Ann Dominguez is our program manager. And so we have been in training. And there's a ripple effect. I just met with her, over the phone today. And so she's got some people in the department that she's starting to let go some of her duties to teach them how to do them. And some of my duties that I'm teaching her how to do. We have a unique situation. We have 2 of our employees who have been with the city for quite a while. And I'm not saying they're ready to leave, and I'm not definitely not pushing them out, but they're eligible to retire like really soon. So we're having to look at our whole staffing plan to make sure. The goal is this program, we have worked very hard to get it to where it's at. Rochelle knows firsthand. We worked very hard to get it to where it's at. We're there. We're not in the red. We're in the black. In fact, right now, our biggest job is spending the money that we have because we've been allocated more money because we are performing very, very well.
And not only that, but you were also limited during the COVID. You were not doing the activities you normally do.
That is correct.
And that's where I'm seeing in a lot of other budgets that we see where money wasn't spent. I don't mean the city, but
Right.
other boards that I see.
But on the reverse side, it's cost us more because we're still providing the meals. So now instead of somebody coming in to eat and they eat on a tray that gets washed and sanitized and put away, we're sending home delivered meals. So that rises the cost of the meal. That rises.
But you also don't have the expense of that person in there.
Yes, we do. All as staff is still working and have been working. And you know, I don't know, probably for you as well, Commissioner Moya, but COVID has quadrupled our workload. And we get a phone call today at 4, and we've got to turn around sometimes, and we've got to get information to the state by noon tomorrow. And we do it. We do what we need to do, but it actually has quadrupled. On a really positive note, during COVID, we were able to get our renovation completed. They're painting this week. So it was a godsend for us in some ways that we were able to do that without having to turn away our people. But on the budget, so if we go back to the contract, the goal of this contract is to get the program to a place where, and I'm writing a policy manual, and as long as the manager, when that time comes, that they make sure that it's enforced, somebody can walk in and they can go to that manual, and it will have a step-by-step on how to do the job. It will also have all the contact people that they need. We don't have to be an island. I have contacted a lot of people that have helped us through things, and we will continue to do that to make sure that we are in compliance.
And I believe the former director left because her mother was very ill and she had to help take care of her.
I'm honestly not sure. It was a person, I
Right.
just know it was a personal.
But one other thing to remember, she did include this spreadsheet. So you can see that the senior program gets $506,888 in grants between the state and the federal. The city subsidizes the senior program with $62,111. And you can see what that subsidy is paying for. And so as you can see, we're not paying any salaries right now with that money. The only thing that would technically be part of salaries would be the health insurance benefits. Everything else is to maintain the insurance and to pay for the chargebacks and the building maintenance on the senior center.
Mayor, if I may, though, as a point of clarification, the health insurance you referred to is not for Claire. The health insurance is for the employees.
It's for the employees, yes.
No, but
For
Clara
the
is a retired city employee, so she has this as part of her benefits.
Well, with this contract, I still wouldn't be getting benefits.
No, a contract, you definitely don't get a contract. But I noticed that in here in your contract, it says you can work from home, do whatever you want to, so you don't really have to be on site. And that's pretty much how we utilize contract when I work in other areas.
Yes.
And also on this contract, we can call in a 30-day notice, 60-day notice to break the contract, isn't that correct, or something?
Something like that, yes.
Yes. Yeah, so, my concern is that, sometimes when we get too lax on some of the contract, but by contract, you can't tell anybody when to work, not to work, because I know very well. But at the same time, I'm more concerned about our program because come the day that your history, we need somebody there to actually be able to take over without a ruffle.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to come back 4 years or 3 years or 2 years or whatever, and then wind up with the same story in a different chapter.
I sure hope not, because that was part of the reason I got contracted, was at that time, the city was in danger of losing all 5 programs. And in a matter of 3 months, we turned it around. And, you know, the goal is not for me to stick around forever, but to be able to assist and help and train those people who will stay longer. And then there's that ripple effect, and then the next group. We hear, we have a weekly meeting with the Area Agency on Aging, and I'm not kidding, that the turnover is so high. And, you know, I am more than willing to continue another 3 years. The goal is to get to the point where it's not me, and to get to the point that it is employees taking care of what
But
needs to be
that would
taken
be your
care of.
duty to make sure you find somebody
Right.
that's competent enough to be able to take over.
Yes,
And that's what the problem is sometimes. We can train people, but if they're not at that level of functioning, then we have problems.
right.
And then what happens? Then you say, well, we can let it go because so-and-so is still not up to par.
I don't have an answer for that one.
So
We do the
no,
best, we do the
As a
best we can.
contractor, you should be able to look and see who's gonna be capable of doing it.
But I can't hire.
No, you cannot hire, but you've been in the business enough to know who's capable of doing
Right.
it or not doing it.
Yes, sir.
And if they're not capable of doing it, you need to do a good recommendation, you know, let them be history, and you gotta get somebody who can work.
And I do work very closely with, well, all of them, Rochelle and Mark and Angelica, and with HR.
I got one question.
Yes,
Okay, this is what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not.
Okay.
Supposedly, the city hired somebody to take your place. Supposed to have gotten trained. What happened that she didn't get trained?
she resigned
She did.
less than a year.
Right.
There was another one
No,
that's still there.
There's a program manager. So there's a hierarchy, right? Program manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations and oversees the staff. The director looks for more money and also is contract compliance, getting things in order, and works directly with the program manager to make sure that the program is in compliance. So she's been there. We have a program manager who's been there. She is the one that I am currently training.
And she's been with the city for a while, right?
She
Good
has.
person.
She has.
Okay.
Now, she's also, and again, I'm not saying she's going to retire. I'm not pushing her out, but she's eligible very soon, and that makes my heart beat real fast. Because then we start over. We also have another employee who's been there for a while, and she could leave today if she wanted to. So we have to start thinking about the people that we are hiring now to expand our program. We're also looking at them to start training them in some of these areas as well, so that everybody is cross-trained. You're welcome. And then one more thing on this, if you don't mind. So it goes in that 3 stages, right? So Commissioner Moya, you were saying about the 2 contracts. It's just 1 contract. So there are,
No, I wasn't saying about it, the city manager was the one who brought it up.
okay,
Correct, there's 2 different options. There's 2 different
They're
contracts.
options.
Option A, option B.
Yeah, you said contract.
okay, they're options. So there's an option A and an option B. So with option, let's see. With option number 1,
Mhm.
at the end of 2024, and now we're using today's numbers. At the end of 2024, that budget would be available for a full-time employee with no having to look for extra funding. It's going to pay for itself. With option number 2, there would be some having to rearrange some things and have to look for some additional funding.
Why?
Because so we're going to say today to the city, it's $67,606. That's including benefits. If you look at option B, at the end of 2024, That contract is $28,665. So you'd have to find the other 41,000 for a full-time person.
And Claire, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason why we agreed to try to push for this is because the state funds based on the demand. So if we demand that, then they'll have it in their budget. If not, if they say, oh, it's only costing $28,000, the city may be liable to front the rest of that money to get up to a full-time position, correct?
Correct. In a nutshell. So when I came on, we didn't know where we stood financially. Is that accurate? We didn't know where we stood financially. And so my current contract is $23,123. So even if you divide that by a full-time, I think, what did you say I make, 11 something an hour? It's not about me. It's about the program. And it's about finding the people, the person, whoever that may be, to fill this position and keep it going forward. So with option one, there would be little money that needed to be sought, right? Because everything goes up. With option two, it would still be 40-some thousand. Now, does that mean that, well, if at the end of 3 years, I just walk away and it's over? Absolutely not. I am committed. This is my community. I will do whatever I need to do to help if I'm allowed to. And that's where part of the issue came when the program got in trouble, is because somebody didn't know that they could reach out. There's nothing wrong with reaching out. That's what makes us strong. So that's all I have. And you know, like I said, it is about the program. It's about keeping the program. It's about getting it where it needs to be. Rough timing, because I know that everything is just at such a bad place. So in some ways, I take responsibility for keeping us in a bad place by agreeing to work for such a low compensation. It's not a true figure of what it takes to run the senior center.
But the insecureness part is, you're saying the two employees that will climb out the ladder to replace you are at the level that can bounce out. So we're looking at the fact is that puts it at a very insecure area. Why can't we look for somebody who might be more solid? And I know that the way the hierarchy goes up with the ladder, the years and everything, I know they deserve it. But at the same time, you're looking at the fact is, if they decide tomorrow to be history, both of them, then we'll be back, I mean, just a day before the contract expires, then we'll be back to base one again.
Well, then we do a new contract.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point
Right.
is to be able to
Right.
secure the senior citizens, so we'd be independent enough so that we would not have to constantly be in this position, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And because, you know, like I said, you know, I don't know what would be the answer on it. That would be up to you, but that's something you need to, you guys need to think about.
Yes.
Because we certainly don't want to be a month before the contract's up, you're gone and you can no longer handle it, because, you know, sometimes age does numbers on us, you know?
You're talking about the gray, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is
And that
that,
will be secure if we can do that. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
Not this other way.
And I can tell you that both ladies, they would not leave the senior center hanging. We never know, something, like you said, something could happen to any of us. And Marianne and I talked about that today. What would happen if? Well, you know, what it happens with, then we need to have those resources available that we send out that SOS and say, help us. And there are people out there that will help us, for anything that we're doing.
No, I know the state has plenty of assistance.
They're all new too.
Yeah, because I see a lot, yeah, they're all, but they have assistants that will be, but they also are trained with other areas, so they have the expertise.
Right.
And I know that's available because I've seen it before.
And that will be part of our staffing plan.
Hopefully, okay.
Maybe we can staff some younger people.
Well, you know, we're not gonna go there.
Pardon?
We're not gonna go there.
I know.
We've got a good group, and
I
I
know
think,
you do.
you know, the biggest thing is that they care. They genuinely care, and so they will do whatever to get the job done. And they've proved it. They've all worked through COVID.
Okay.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
thank
It
you.
does, I mean, I know we don't report on it as much, maybe I need to report on it more, but with this extra funding, like I said, that clears out to get, we're gonna have everything equipped in the kitchen we need to, and we're able to open to the public. Everything's been completely renovated in that senior center. And a lot of that is working through the capital outlay process and the hard efforts and work that Claire does. So again, thank you to her and all the crew out there at the senior center.
I'll be glad when we go back to having our board meetings.
Yes.
But you also have what would say, maybe some money available on the COVID relief also, don't you? That's coming down the pipe, according to what I hear, on the state level as well as the federal level.
So the next question is, we want to do the updated ending 2021 draft 1. Is that what we're gonna do, or draft 2?
Madam Mayor, I would make a motion that we approve draft 1 with the $39,000 amount.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
And this is the one that, well, at the end of the episode will be 60,000.
Yes.
And we don't have to find more money to pay another
Right.
full-time person.
Yeah, I understand
Okay, I got a question on this, Mayor.
Okay,
I'm not trying to start nothing. He has to sustain himself and voting on this, right? Chris would have to sustain himself from voting on this.
No, sir, I would not. According to our code of ethics, aunts and nephews are not a part of that. It is not part of the nepotism or the family. It's not considered as family, according to our code of conduct.
She's related to you?
She is my aunt, and I can tell you, I've never financially benefited from any of her
I don't know.
ventures.
I'm just saying because I have people questioning me today about this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like my wife came in here and I do something for her, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and
I just wanna make sure it's
Right.
over to everybody.
right.
I don't wanna hear no more crying.
I know.
yeah, that according to our,
Understand
according to
that.
our code of conduct, that does not constitute a conflict of interest.
I didn't mean to bring that up.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
But, you know, I
It's
just
a-
want people to understand and hear.
Yeah, and on the public to know too. All right, so no other questions? Okay, roll call please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Hopefully we don't have to battle this again in 3 years.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes, and I apologize.
No apology.
No
You're
apologies.
doing a great job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes,
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. All right, next, on the agenda is the Economic Development Services Agreement. Mark, you wanna do that, or?
Can I say something? You're going to Tim's hair with?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mayor, if you want to start, it's just discussing. the
Okay.
current contract.
All right, the contract, let's see, let me get to it.
7B,
Pardon?
7B.
Okay. There it is. All right, here's the contract. That's with Salvador Miller, page 70.
Just before that.
64.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I had it on the right page, but, okay. All right. 64, if we break it down to what it is, it's a 4-year contract for $58,000 per year from the city with monthly installments of $4,833.33.
I'm sorry, what did you say per year?
58, it's on page 68. And it's a 4-year contract, I believe. Is there anything else you want to say, Mark?
What did I miss?
I just found it was for a 4-year contract with the provider amount would be $58,000 per year.
Yes, ma'am,
so
so,
by another 6,000 for utilities, right?
correct, so
Right.
what I did, I just went ahead and copied and pasted the previous contract.
Okay.
And then that's where, we're hoping to have enough time in the work session to discuss anything we may want to amend. But since it's a action item, I think it's, perfectly fine to go ahead and discuss, any concerns with the contract now and move forward.
Okay, where are you seeing the utilities?
It is further down, it's the last sentence there, it's 500 per month for the utilities,
Oh, I see.
or 500, that's what I
I
say,
see.
500 per month for utilities, followed by the providing of the space of the Indy.
Oh, right,
and the
okay.
multiple room
Right, but that doesn't go to him, it goes to the
PDC.
EDC, right? Okay. All right, so utilities are provided and office space is provided. Okay. Since we didn't get a chance to discuss it, does anyone have any discussion they want to bring up?
Yes, ma'am, I would. So with COVID understanding, I understand that it's added some extra difficulties, but I can't, I would be remiss to not note that we haven't had any updates to this commission. There hasn't been any updates, there hasn't been anything provided. I even myself started to attend the meetings just so I can try to stay in the loop. And sadly, I know I haven't visited with any of my other colleagues here, but there was a moment and a time under the previous city administration, along with Mayor Litchfield, that in those meetings, the city called for an executive session to discuss performances, and we were told, no.
Well, it died with lack of.
It died with the lack of a second. I believe some words that were used were you could have your meeting, but you couldn't have it without us. And I just feel that with the contribution of 58,000 plus the utilities, plus the availability of the office space and office equipment, I'm not saying we throw our weight around, but we should be at least heard. And I don't feel like that's being done at this point.
Okay.
Oh, just to understand. It was a meeting requested by who?
The meeting was requested by Mayor Litchfield
Okay.
on behalf of, for an executive session at
Oh.
EDC meetings, and that was denied.
The Economic Development Board said,
Yes, sir.
take a hike.
Yes, sir. Just that way we could have some of our questions answered and issues aired out, but we weren't granted that opportunity. Now, Mayor Litchfield, of course, has been a part of that longer than I have, but it was at that time that I stopped attending because of repeats on reports and just the fact that we weren't gonna have any of our grievances aired. What I would like to see, and of course, I know that everyone else is gonna have some debate as well. I would like to see us retain the 58,000 and utilize that towards a employee of the city for economic development. Us still provide the cost of the utilities as well as the office space. I still think we do need to have a share at the table. However, I don't think that our funds are best suited there.
Okay, anyone else have any questions?
I don't. I agree.
Okay,
Well, I was gonna, since Mr. Vanderpool's here, I was gonna see if he could kind of give us an update.
Right.
Of what, I know, of course, within lieu of, we understand what's going on with COVID, but what do we have, what are we looking to? We've got some things that are happening in the state that can be game changers. You know, what do we have working? Would you mind?
I'd be happy to do that. I've got something prepared for you too. Good.
thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. So the first thing I would like to do would be to really express my appreciation for your support for the work we're doing at 5 Mile Park and a resolution you passed a couple of weeks ago. If you notice on the front page of the packet that I just provided for you, it's a list of the most important factors that site selectors look for when they're looking for communities. And if you'll notice item number 4 on that list, item number 4 is quality of life. That was not a factor before in terms of site selectors' decisions until a couple of years ago. And it has been creeping up the list to be number 4 in terms of what they look for in a community where they're going to locate a business. Now that list is important, so keep that list in mind.
Okay.
The second thing you have in your packet is a copy of the marketing materials, which we developed with the help of the New Mexico Partnership. I think it's a really good piece, and I really want to thank the partnership for helping us develop that marketing material. Now, the best use of that marketing material to this point has been through the New Mexico Partnership, because the New Mexico Partnership does generate about 90% of the leads that are generated for projects that are looking at New Mexico. And so that's a good avenue for us. I will say that yes, COVID has been a tough year for New Mexico in terms of projects that have located in the state. So right behind that brochure, you'll see a one-page piece which talks about locates in New Mexico since last July. And there have been 6 businesses that have located in the state since last July. If you'll notice, 5 of those have been in the Santa Teresa area. And so kudos to Jerry Pacheco, who has been working closely in the joint maquiladora projects between New Mexico and Mexico. But other than that, there's only been one other locate through the partnership in the past year. And that was 10 jobs created by Bicycle Help in Santa Fe, which was just announced about a month ago. Now, as Commissioner Arias has mentioned, there have been a couple of significant projects in the state. We've actually had 3 major projects in the last 2 years in New Mexico. And one was generated through the partnership, and that was Stampede Meats, which located in Deming. Again, that was a maquiladora project, and that created a significant number of jobs. The other 2 projects, Netflix, which located in Albuquerque, and most recently announced is the Intel expansion in Rio Rancho. Now, interestingly enough, when we talk about building a better product, it's also about public policy. So 5 Mile Parks is a community facility which adds to quality of life, and it adds to us building a better product. Public policy deals with legislation and meeting with our legislators and seeing what kind of incentives could be provided for business. I think what was lost in the special session was actually Senate Bill 1, which some of you may have noticed, but it was an amendment to the Local Economic Development Act. That amendment was to allow 50% gross receipts tax rebate to companies that invested $350 million or more in the state. And what project invested $350 million or more in New Mexico? That's the recently announced Intel project. As part of that project, Intel received $14 million in terms of gross receipts tax rebate for the project. They received $5 million in additional funds from the state's LEDA fund, which is called the Deal Closing Fund. And they also received $500,000 from Sandoval County. That was not a partnership project, but it's an example of one of the few projects that have been successful in New Mexico. So when you talk about landing projects in Tucumcari, we're not alone. We have had some of the similar challenges that other places have had. But the point I want to make to you is that we are continuing to promote and market Tucumcari through the development of the marketing material and through providing that material to those prospects that take a look at New Mexico. Now, one of the other challenges that we have in terms of attracting those projects are to make sure that we have what can meet their requirements. And of the PROs, those are prospect relocation opportunities that we've been presented with in the course of the last year. One of those projects needed to have 2 metal machine shops in the community in which they locate. Another one of those projects needed to have 25-foot ceilings in the main part of the building, higher ceilings in the warehouse. So when we talk about projects that are looking for manufacturing space, the broom factory is an outdated building. It's not up to code in terms of what newer projects are looking for. They're looking for clear spans, they're looking for higher ceilings than what we actually have available. One of the other projects was actually asking for 52 megawatts of usage at the site. And what I've been told by Xcel Energy, our total load in Tucumcari is about 10.5 megawatts. So that far exceeds our ability to meet their requirements for those projects. We did have a project that came down the pike last Thursday. And it was a project which was looking for 60,000 square feet of space in a plug-and-play operation, basically for a customer service center that would supply 200 to 300 people. We don't have a 60,000 square foot building that is ready to go, plug and play. So those are challenges in terms of the types of projects that we're presented with and that we have to compete for. We have to be able to have what the requirements are in terms of what the projects are looking for. So what we have tried to do this last year, and that's the next item in your packet, is we had a proposal to develop a kiosk at the Welcome Center for business travelers who were behind the steering wheel instead of in an airplane. We thought that would be a great opportunity for us to attract those businesses and be able to promote Tucumcari to them. Of course, the challenge that we've had this last year is the welcome centers have been closed. We still hope to do that at some point, but I have to tell you, I have to question whether maybe that ship has sailed because business travelers are getting back into airplanes. So maybe we have to go back to some of the traditional approaches that we've had in terms of sales missions and trade shows and working with a partnership on those leads. The other thing that I've been trying to do recently is to reach out to some site consultants that I'm aware of and ask them, what projects do you have that will fit Tucumcari? Because we know that a lot of the prospects that are looking at New Mexico are probably looking at some of the larger cities in the state. And we just may not have the capability to compete for those projects. It was like the challenge that we had this last summer in terms of an opportunity fund that was looking for 10 cities across the country to invest $25 million in each of those 10 cities. Now, what's the catch with that? Well, there are three. They wanted to make sure that we had projects that fit their profile. And we do. We have a lot of good projects that would fit an opportunity fund profile. They also wanted a return on investment of 15%. And that typically takes appreciating property values. We don't have that. So we couldn't meet that requirement. And then for this particular fund, they also wanted a $5 million community match. We don't have a $5 million community match. So I think that's something we have to look realistically about. How do we identify those projects that are going to be good for us and fit our community? So that's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to reach out to the site consultants, the others we have a relationship with, to find those projects that will fit Tucumcari. So we have three things that we primarily try to do. Build a better product, we talked about that. Attraction of new businesses, we've talked about that. We also talk about grow new businesses. And the most promising project we currently have, quite honestly, is the work we're doing through the Tabletop Co-op. And don't forget, we have been working with the Tabletop Co-op pretty closely. Just like we were able to apply with the help of your resolution in support of 5 Mile Park for some significant funding, $500,000 for improvements at 5 Mile Park. We also have the opportunity in working with the Tabletop Co-op and Dr. Michael Patrick from New Mexico State to apply for some USDA rural development funding for a program that they call Building Rancher and Farmer Development Grant Program this next year. Now, the one key to that particular grant opportunity that we have is that it has to be a regional project. And Commissioner Moya, you may remember this, that about 2 years ago, Senator Campos talked to the president of New Mexico State University and said, I would like to see you develop a project for our smaller towns. And it was Dr. Michael Patrick from New Mexico State that was charged with developing that proposal for Senator Campos. The result of that proposal was a demonstration project in Las Vegas for a beginning farmer program. Now, our table co-op is actually about a year ahead in terms of the development of our proposal and the work that we're doing with beginning farmers, which, by the way, we have 6 or 7 folks that are in the program. And thanks to Jason Lamb and Suzanne Nicholson, they're being provided information and training on how to become beginning farmers. The opportunity we have in the grant then is to do a dual project with the tabletop co-op and the demonstration project in Las Vegas to apply for funding through USDA's Beginning Farmer Development Program. That grant would be $600,000 for 3 years. Imagine if we got half of that money for 3 years and we had $100,000 per year for 3 years for the tabletop co-op, what they could do. That would give them the opportunity to also proceed with commercial kitchen feasibility study and development, which a couple of us had talked about in the past, and also the development of marketplace for local products, foods and services. So the tabletop co-op is our biggest opportunity, we think, for growing new business at this point. One of the other issues that I do want to bring to your attention, and I won't go through the information, but you have it in your packet. I hope you'll take a look at it, and the information on workforce. The reason that's important, if you go back to that list of the #1 issues that site selectors look for, they look for workforce. And if you will remember, a couple of years ago, we became a certified work-ready community. And that was through the help of ACT. It was the help of Department of Workforce Solutions and others, because we had an unlimited use license of ACT's Work Keys assessment tools. We no longer have that because of a new contract between Department of Workforce Solutions and ACT. You'll also see in this packet a proposal to realign the local workforce development boards, to eliminate it from 4 local workforce development boards down to 2, primarily an urban area workforce development board, which would cover Santa Fe, Bernalillo, and Doña Ana counties, and the rest of the state, all piled together as a rural workforce development board. That would not serve us well. We already have, I have to tell you honestly, we have a disconnect between the business community and Department of Workforce Solutions. One of the things you will see in your packet is an example from Iowa. I use Iowa as an example of comparison of what they're doing with what we're doing in New Mexico for 2 reasons. One is that I've been able to work this last year with Andrew Conrad from the Institute for Decision Making at University of Northern Iowa. I've learned a lot about what Iowa has to offer in terms of workforce development compared with what we have in workforce development. And one of the things they do in Iowa is they actually have annual labor shed studies. That's the supply side. What does the workforce have in terms of skill sets available and how many workers are there? And also they do outreach and surveys of employers to find out what employers need. We don't have that data. And I have said before, time and time again, if we're going to attract businesses, we have to have a data-driven story to tell to prospective employers. We don't have that data. So how do we get that data? One of the other things you will see, and this is the last item that you have in your packet, this is a survey form, which is part of our Create Bridges project. Create Bridges is a project designed to survey and provide assistance to retail accommodations, tourism, and entertainment type businesses. That, of course, is the backbone of our small businesses in Northeast New Mexico. And it's also the sector that's been the hardest hit with COVID and the pandemic restrictions. So our attempt is to reach out to those businesses and try to help them. Now, there have been a couple of people that said, we don't need to survey businesses to find out what they need. We already know what they need. But I'm a believer in this particular project for a couple of reasons. One is that business retention expansion, which is what this program is a best practices tool for economic development across the nation. It's been proven to work. The second is, this is our opportunity to get that data we need on the workforce in order to make improvements, make changes, and attract those businesses to our community. And I will tell you this, in the process that we went through for the Certified Work Ready Communities Initiative, frankly, I was surprised and I was pleased with the results we got of those people that we surveyed. In Quay County right now, we have about 400 individuals who have received their National Career Readiness Certificate through that program, which they otherwise would not have had. And that is something that they own and can take with them when they apply for a job. And they also have provided us that data that we can use. We need to continue that work in order to have the data to convince an employer that we can meet their workforce needs. The other reason that I'm a believer in this program is it provides the business two opportunities in terms of receiving assistance. One is the development and implementation of regional strategies that we identified through the process to help those businesses in those sectors that we just talked about. Now, one of the things that our funder for this project, Walmart, has said is that we want you to set aside $100,000 for implementation of the strategies that you come up with. Now, those strategies may be customer service training. They may be removal of barriers to employment that workers face, which could be childcare or transportation or housing. They may be the expansion of broadband services to our smaller communities throughout the region. There is money set aside to implement the strategies we come up with. You don't know how many times we have done, and you guys have all done this too. You've done studies, but had no money to implement what you come up with after the study. In this case, we do, in addition to the help from the Mexico State University and our other partners in the project. The other opportunity we have through the survey process is to identify, and if you look at the last page on the survey, you will see immediate action needed. Oftentimes when you sit down with a business and you go through this process, they'll say, oh, wait, I need help with this. Well, because of the fact that we have assembled a pretty good list of resources to help these businesses, we may be able to solve that problem right there on the spot. Now, the truth is, when people will believe in this process is after we've had a couple of success stories, and we're just in the middle of the survey process. So we'll find those success stories, and then we'll make you believers in that process. Those are the primary activities that we've been up to. And yes, you're right. I have not given you updates and presentations like I probably should have. But the fact that we have the mayor and the city manager sitting on my board, the fact that I always copy you guys with the agendas and the minutes of all those meetings, I've tried to provide you information on what we do, though it may not be in the public forum that you would like me to do. And I'm happy to do that going forward if that's what you'd like me to do. Now, the last thing I would like to do, because I think it's important for you to know this, is an update on the Local Economic Development Act. Many of you have seen the fact that Senate Bill 49 was passed during the regular session this year, and we got to thank Senator Woods for that particular piece of legislation. A lot of people say, good, now we can include retail in our LEADER projects. Truth of the matter is, House Bill 581 was passed in 2013 to allow us to use LEADER for retail. But that's only going to be effective if you generate enough money in your LEADER fund to do those kinds of projects. The amount of money that we generate in our LEADER fund, I believe, is best suited for utility extensions to other projects that may locate in the community. I don't think we have enough money to get involved in LEADER projects. I'm certainly open to having that conversation, but there are a couple of caveats if you decide to do that. And by the way, Senate Bill 49, the changes it made, it allowed the use of retail VITA funds for retail in communities larger than 15,000 population or in the areas of the county. Also allowed the use of state VITA funds for retail projects, as long as they meet the criteria that is established through the state legislation dealing with VITA. But the other caveats are, one, it requires a public referendum for you to be able to spend that money for retail projects. So you would have to put it on a ballot and go out to a vote to see if the community wanted to use those funds that way. Clovis has done that. They have it on the ballot for November. The other caveat is that there is a non-compete clause, which means you cannot use those funds to attract a new business if it's going to compete with an existing business. I personally think for our existing businesses in the community, that's a good thing. So those are caveats that are written into the legislation. And I just thought you ought to know about those changes with LEDA. So with that, we have been busy this year. We have done a lot of work. And I think that the mayor and the city manager can confirm that because they have been in all of our monthly meetings. Yeah, we did have to go on Zoom meetings for quite a while, but we're back meeting in person now. And you're all welcome to attend and participate. With that, I'm happy to stand for any questions.
The question I have you ever considered local, what's happening at the local level? Because it sounds like a lot of the youth are not able to do this, not able to meet that. But, you know, we do have a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that. We have utilized some in the past, but I don't see, I get a lot of complaints when the fact is that some local person says they call your office, you don't return calls. And then the other thing is they have ideas, but you don't ever have the time to discuss it with them.
Oh, I always.
Well, I don't know, this is not one person, this is several people.
I'm happy to visit with anybody at any time. Even when I'm not in the office, I do check my voicemail.
Yeah.
If I have a call from somebody that wants me to return their call, I'll return their call.
Okay, well, they complain about it.
I think also one of our concerns is we're not seeing
Progress.
physical things for money. You know what I'm saying? When I go buy a card, I want certain things in it and I paid up for that. And I think that's what a lot of the concern is right now, is that for the money, we're not seeing
A return.
The return on the investment.
right. And I think that's one of the, I mean, all of this is good and well, but I'm happy for Deming. I don't care about Deming. I don't care about Kansas or Iowa or whatever. I care about Tucumcari, and I want to see something happening here. You know what I'm saying? So that's my concern right now. So
Having the certified workforce, what has that done for us? I know it's been going on for some years. I know it was good that we, I remember hearing how good it was to have that many, but has that benefited us any, other than a certificate?
It is something that site selectors see when we do have a chance to go visit with them. They see that badge on that paper and say, oh, you're a certified work ready community? That's good. And then they ask us, how many people do you have? How many people can go to work tomorrow? That's where we run into a challenge. It does help, but we need to continue that process.
I really can't see a measurement on what has been brought into our community. There was a lot of projects done under the LEADER program, and I have not seen them flare on as far as, and that's been quite a while, and I'm not saying it's your problem. It might be whatever economic is nationwide or whatever, but you guys utilize a lot of LEADER money and a lot of programs, and I have not really seen the increase of the employment as far as those projects go.
I don't think we've had a legal project in a while, have we?
No, the leader projects that are on the list include the expansion of the cheese plant. We put $141,000 into it. The state put $200,000 into it on a $4.5 million expansion. We also have Mariposa Herbs down on First Street. That was a LEDA project. We had Buena Vista Optical until Commissioner Mims passed away. That was a good LEDA project.
Oh, we had
the-
failures, I mean, we
Yeah,
had
there's
some
quite a lot.
failures too, but.
The roof on the Odeon Theater, that was a LEDA project. Tucumcari Biofuels, the project out at the ethanol plant,
How's that doing?
that's a LEDA project.
He's getting all kinds of money.
Secured Newmark's, about $2 million in Newmarket's tax credits. So, yeah, that project
But I
is
mean,
still
is he
moving along.
producing anything?
Oh, yeah. He's doing those mosquito repellent bracelets, or whatever they were.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he's got those going.
And he's-
Where is it? Guam? No, wasn't Guam. Where was it? He told us he was.
Samoa, American Samoa.
American Samoa sends him over there, and he's got people working on him.
Wow,
So,
I didn't even know about it.
yeah, he's got a lot of things going over there.
We have had some success with LEDA. I think the challenge we had was that we tried to use that for a period of time for total financing of entrepreneurs. And we had one failure, and that was Adam and Kim Nichols' flashlight. And that's what we always hear about.
We still, they're still doing the shovels. Aren't they still doing the shovels?
Yes, he is, and we just have had some work recently.
Yeah, but, how many employees?
He doesn't have anybody working for him right now, Commissioner. But I do want to say this about LEDA, and one of the reasons we haven't had a lot of LEDA projects recently was because that one failure is the one thing we kept getting beat over the head with. And so we decided as an EDC board to adopt the policy that the state uses for their LEDA projects, which is that when a project comes in the door, and they use it as a deal closing fund, when the project comes into the door, as long as the applying business is a proven entity and they have their ducks lined up and they have about 85% of their financing in hand, then the state will look at contributing about 15% to make sure the project can cash flow and get over the top. So that's primarily the way that the state uses LEDA funds. And since our local ordinance is a mirror of state statute, that's probably the way we ought to be using our LEDA fund too. So as a board, we decided we would only look at a project if it came into the door and really had its ducks lined up. We also did get some advice from the city attorney, Randy Knudsen, who said that you probably ought to be looking at about 15% of a project in terms of your LEDA contribution to a project. So that's one of the challenges we had with LEDA. But we had some success stories. The thing you have to remember about LEDA is, particularly if you provide that percentage of financing for a project, there's going to be some risk involved. And some of them are going to make it and some of them aren't.
Tell me, what has been very successful in the last year or two? What projects have you done that had really shown a good light?
Well, we didn't have any this last year.
How about the year before?
Well, some of those that are on that list, I would have to go back and look at the dates on them, but yeah.
Because I haven't seen an increase in anything in the community as far as residents or jobs that I can really put together.
So there's been jobs.
There's been jobs, they just don't want them. Right? Yeah,
So I don't know.
that's the problem right now.
And what was the problem that they didn't let you, when you had requested that? I mean, that would have been, yeah, and, you know, if I'm on a board, I want to know what the community wants to know. And if they feel that they're not obligating to allowing the city to voice their opinion or concerns, so that we can prevent from when they come to the budget, saying, well, if we don't have a word, let it be history.
Well, the rest of the board didn't want to hear what I had to say.
Well, the rest of the board can do, well,
Yeah.
hope they fund as much we do.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Well, Madam Mayor, I'd like to also, so it's a 4-year contract, correct?
right.
I mean, I believe in that changes can happen. I would like to see the reduction only happen for a year and us come back, and after, come back and conversing a little bit more, maybe reallocate those funds back in.
you know, I'm just very disappointed that they didn't want to hear what we have to say. And if we're at the table and we're not able to be voiced, then let it be history.
Mr. Vanderpool, have you already started looking and reaching out to possible businesses for the cannabis?
I have not had any conversations with any.
Because, with a lot of these bigger industries that are saying we're not qualified, this is one industry, I think, that we're overly qualified, not because we're users, but we've got we've got water, and I think that's something that should be pushed out. We've got water, and growers make just as much money as anybody else that can go into our economy. We've got the buildings, we've got the properties. I know the law's not ready come April, but right now, I think would this be an avenue that we should be focusing on right now? Because that will create jobs. Going to the shovel, I know we're saying that it's successful. I don't think so, because I've looked at the contract, and as Commissioner Moya pointed out, he has no employees. Now, when I looked at the LEDA contract before, because I was looking at opening a brewery, it stated I had to show, and y'all even asked me how many employees we're going to start off with and how many I was going to have a couple of years down the road. Has he not fulfilled that? Because I know if you're going to have some type of manufacturing, you can't do that by yourself. But yeah, he has no employees.
My last conversation with him was, Glenn, why don't we look for someone to buy your contract out? Let's let somebody else take that over. I certainly don't want you guys to lose the investment you've made in that project. And I think that's an opportunity for us to do that. He said he's receptive to that if we can find a buyer for that project. He did tell me that he has just now made a contact to start an Amazon account to sell those through Amazon. I have not seen that yet. But in the meantime, my conversation to him was, let's find someone to buy that project and take that over. And maybe we can save that.
This is neither here nor there. I think he's a very nice guy, but he should be looking for the buyer, not us. This is his business. And was it 4 years ago? It was 4 years ago. We had a discussion with him to help him with marketing.
We did.
It was then he should have set up his Amazon account. He's got a very good product. It's a very good product. Anybody could go in there and sell those things. I think it's about time that he finds somebody to buy, because he's behind the ball 4 years now. And I've asked you several times over the years, where's he at? What's he doing? I've been in the broom factory. I see boxes stacked with shovels. And like I said, this is neither here nor there. This is his responsibility, in my opinion. But that is one avenue I think we went at. It's not just the 15% we should be looking at, but we should be holding them down to a harder, nail them down a little bit harder on what they've got to do to produce in a shorter time frame.
Maybe we should revisit project participation agreements going forward. We can certainly do that.
Okay. All right. So I got one more. Can't find my agenda. Bear with me.
May I ask Commissioner, audience a question?
Yes.
Could you go over what you were just saying a second ago? About the contract?
Yes, sir. So my recommendation, and I will put that in the form of a motion, is to strike the term from 4 years to 1 year. Under item 9, the compensation, I would like to strike the 58,000.
So you're saying no salary?
Correct. But we will provide the building as well as utility payments.
I like the 1 year, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm striking the salary. Completely.
Well, we do have in there in the term of the emergency as determined by the city commission that those payments can be reduced. We can also add, they can be increased as well.
what, if we're gonna respect the salary, that's the full budget he's requesting. Am I correct?
Yes, so the 58,000.
Okay. It's up to you.
Well, if you strike the salary, you will no longer have a contract with the EDC.
Well. should
And you will no
have
longer have a seat on the board.
Well,
I have no problem going to a year, but I don't think striking a salary is.
well, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, that if the mayor had requested, she represents us as a whole, the economic board should have granted her the opportunity. And I don't feel like anybody should be sitting on a board if they don't have representing such a huge entity in that board and then be told that they're not capable. That is a time to correct the errors and not when you come in for contracts.
And I agree, but the ones that didn't strike the agreement to meet they're not here tonight.
Right.
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't Pat, it was the board.
Yeah, but the whole board, then that would have thrown a red flag for me and said, hey, what's going on? Let me see what are you concerned about? And your concern were because we were having a lot of complaints about people. And if you're not gonna listen to the people, then we represent the people, because that's 5 commission represent the whole community. So that's what I'm saying. If you're not gonna listen ahead of time to avoid the wreck, then what are we gonna do about it? We have to do something. You know, we cannot have a voice, be on a board and have no voice. But even if they said, no, that is their privilege as a board, and it's an independent board and everything else. But I would have been the executive director. I would have called her and said, let's see, what's your concern? What can I do to help? And correct the error before it came to a crash. So I am not very happy that happened. I didn't even know that happened at all. Because we have to answer to the public. And if I know I got a lot of complaints. I told you about it because I don't go to the boards, you go to the board.
Right.
And then to be telling the people, well, I don't know. Maybe what will be the minimum? Maybe that you would recommend that maybe we should fund it for a year and let's see what happens. But this attitude has to change. We are important because that's what we want our economic to be at.
So I'm not saying all hope is lost with me. I do believe that there can be some room for improvement. I'll make the amendment to my motion to reduce the salary to 20,000.
Let's go half.
To 25?
It's almost 30,000. Let's give them 30. And if they want it, fine. If not, maybe they'll learn it. Maybe next time they'll listen to us, because we represent the people. We have to answer. And when I tell the mayor all those complaints I get, I expect the mayor to give me an answer because she sits on the board. And so, if you want to go for 30, we'll go for it. And the building and the utilities.
I have to tell you that if you decide to do that, I will recommend to the EDC that it dissolve.
Well, okay, that's your opinion, but it's our vote here that has to go. And I'm not gonna be threatened by anybody, let me tell you one thing.
I'm not
You're not, he's not
threatening
threatening,
anybody.
okay, let's not do.
I'm not willing right now. If this happened, I'm really upset about it. Okay, I'll second your motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to reduce the salary to 30,000 and to do a 1 year and then come back and review. Roll call.
Okay, so, you did the motion, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I
He seconded.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero?
Yes.
Chopping up my cup, I don't want it to be heard on the radio.
Okay.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
No,
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
I agree with the year. I don't agree with the salary. I want to say no.
So I got 3.
Okay.
Next time.
I don't know what the next item is. Do you have your agenda, Andy?
I think we have the professional search for water rights regulation.
Correct, we're having issues with the go-to meeting, and that, for some reason, it's not loading, so I have to call through the cell phone real quick. Hey, Ted.
Oh, okay. Shoot, there is my fish. Okay, never mind.
Got it working?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening, this is Dale Lyons with Slaughter Miller Associates. How are you guys?
Great, thank you.
This is Sarah Mason, also with Slaughter Miller Associates.
So I wanted to give you all an opportunity to kind of just explain what this is. Briefly, I guess I could get an overview to the commission. This is a professional services agreement to support the water rights, regulatory compliance for the city of Chickentary. We currently have a water well out at the golf course. Many years back, the process was initiated, but it wasn't ever completed. So in order to do so, we have to take it to the next level and have an engineer on contract to actually verify this and help us out with it. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Dale and let him say a few words.
Right, so again, my name is Dale Lyons, and I'm the planning group manager for Slaughter Miller Associates based in Santa Fe, out of the Santa Fe office. And I work with Sarah Mason, who's an engineer in the water resources group with Slaughter Miller and Associates. And we both have been working for the last over a year now with the eGolf law firm, eGolf, Furlick, Martinez, and Hardwood law firm on water resource projects. We've done a number of proof of beneficial use and proof of completion of well, proof of completion of works projects to assist various clients with water rights compliance. And so this project would be very similar to others we've done for municipalities and for private landowners. What we understand in discussing the project with the law firm is that there are 2 water rights that were transferred to the golf course well. And so what we proposed is to get a site visit to get a handle on where water is being pumped from and the meters or meter that's associated with the well. And then get a handle on the water use records or the pumping records for the well. And so usually that takes a little back and forth between us and client to get the data records, and then we would coordinate with the law firm to complete the proof of beneficial use forms and certify the data, and then prepare the forms and sign and stamp them by the engineer Sarah Mason, who's on the call, for submittal to the state engineer's office. And so what we proposed is a site visit and the data validation and certification work and preparation of the proof of beneficial use forms and executing them, and then preparing them for submittal to the OC. And the proposed cost for that is $6,000, not including gross receipts tax.
Thanks, Dale. That was a great summary. I appreciate it.
Commissioner RH, any questions?
No, ma'am.
I don't know who you are, whatever. Mayor Pro Tem Lyons, I'm sorry.
Just say you.
You.
Mother. No, I don't have it.
Okay. Commissioner Moya?
Okay, so we're saying that this study, the $6,000 is going to study on the well, production, and what else?
It's not really a study. It's really, the point of the site visit, and we've learned from other projects that it's not always straightforward. Once we hit the ground and we understand where water is being pumped from and then delivered to, how water is being pumped, and the relation of the meter to the actual source of water. So we just want to make sure we're clear about that the meter is connected to the right well in the right location or meters, there may be more than one, so that we are absolutely sure about the statements we make on the proof of beneficial use form. And then once we do that, then we'll coordinate with the city to obtain the well pumping records, which I presume the city has been compiling. And then, occasionally there's data errors, gaps in data where maybe the meter was not working or disconnected or whatever, and we have to kind of resolve those issues. In some cases, maybe even make estimated production values or estimate the production for a gap or something like that. So when we think the meter was out of calibration, and then that is the other thing we try to do during our site visit is try to figure out if the meter is relatively new and in calibration. But then once we collect all that information, then we'll basically compile it in a spreadsheet and make any corrections we need to, and then complete the forms.
Actually, this will give us a better, a clearer understanding of how much water we're pumping out of the aquifer per gallon. Is that what you're saying from location? Is that what it is?
Yes, so because you all have transferred water rights from other locations, whether they were surface water rights or groundwater rights, you transferred them to this well. The state engineer has approved a permit contingent on the city proving that they're actually using the water that was transferred. So that's the whole point of this exercise, is to basically confirm that you are using the water that was transferred to that well, and then based on how much water you all have used, that will basically result in the final amount of water the state engineer will allow you to produce from that well for municipal supply.
Okay, once they allow us to do that, we don't lose the other water rights if we over transfer, are you saying?
So we can't over divert. We got to make sure that we fall within the allotted
Acreage for the water, yeah.
Yeah.
So actually,
Right.
once we transfer there,
That's correct.
and if we're over it, then we can transfer the money back or not?
If we go over, then you have to do it over a certain period of time. If you over divert, then it kind of scraps it and you have to file for an extension. That way you can try to prove that beneficial use in the following year. If we under divert it, which we're trying to avoid, we have a plan that we're currently following now at the golf course to make sure we use every gallon possible.
Good.
Get to close to that acre footage. That way we're able to retain all of those water rights.
Okay,
Sure.
All right, any other questions? Commissioner Villanueva?
No, Mayor, good.
So I'd entertain a motion to accept the proposal from, for the water rights for regulatory compliance.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, that's all right, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we'll go ahead and do that. I think it's a very important study.
All right.
So we get a better understanding on how to supply our water. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Just a second.
It's Sotomayor.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate your time. I'll follow up with you.
Thank you, Dale.
Nice to talk to you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the appointment of 4 lodgers tax advisory board members. We need two board members from motel owners, 2 from business owner, and 1 citizen.
Okay.
And we have 6 applicants, I believe.
Okay, so we a total of 5?
6, and we need to appoint 5.
There's 5 that sit on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason this came up, there was a vacancy. There was a vacancy on the board that needed to be filled. During that time, I had asked Angelica to please look into the terms. Upon doing so, it was brought to our attention that there were 4 other positions on the board that had expired. Their terms had run out. So I felt it was perfect timing considering we were about to talk budget for lodgers tax for the events and whatnot. And since we had a commission meeting to actually fill the 4 the 4 vacancies at that point, since the terms had expired. Do it all at one shot. That way we can move forward to work on the lodge tax budget so we can accompany with the overall budget for the city. So with that, Ms. Lila was the only individual. Her term had not expired, so she continues to stay on that seat. And then we must appoint 4 other individuals, and like the mayor was stating,
Only one citizen.
one citizen that represents, and then the other. Go ahead, I'll let you.
So the 2 citizens the 2 that have applied for the citizens is Matt Bednoitz and Cindy Latham. The motel owners that we need to look at are Don Federico from Blue Swallow, Harsh Seth from, let's see.
Super 8.
Super 8, right, and then David Brenner from Roadrunner Lodge. Those are the 3.
And Al.
And
And Al Patel, excuse me, I'm sorry, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's on the back here, and Al Patel,
Desert.
and from the Desert Inn, and I think, this is my opinion, Al Patel is out off of the boulevard, and I think that would be, I think we need to think not just the boulevard when it
Right,
comes.
right.
I think we need to think the whole community.
Other areas.
Right, and I'm not pushing Al, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying we need to not always just do boulevard hotels. We need to venture out some.
Okay.
So, I'll leave it up to y'all, who you wanna nominate, or
And this Matt Benoit has been,
Matt Ben,
I don't know what his name, Benoit?
Bednorth.
Yeah.
It's
I look
Bednorth.
at bed, Benoit. Okay, he's served before,
yes.
and how long? Has he been?
Let's see, I was trying to think the last time. Don,
Him and Al were the 2 that were just recently.
recently on there, he and Al,
Oh,
that, yeah.
So just real quick, our current board right now is Al Patel, Larry Smith has resigned, Ms. Lila Dowdy, and then, Matt Bednorth. And of course, Mr. Costelli also resigned.
Okay, so Al Patel and Matt Bednoitz are wanting to retain their position on them. So the new ones would be, Dawn Federico, she's new to town, she and her husband have become very involved in lots of city things.
wow.
She's really excited about being in Tucumcari. And then, the other one would be Seth. Harsh. And, I've met Harsh a couple of times. He's, very capable. I think he'd be good too, either one. And then the 2 citizens, Matt, like I say, is already on it. He wants to retain his. And then, Cindy Latham, she's been very active in lots of community, goings on. So she works, at the Railroad Museum occasionally, and she's also been involved in the, Rawhide Days. So, and Tucumcari Historical Museum.
You left David something.
David Brenner, he has been on it before also, I believe, in past years, and he does the Roadrunner
Is
Lodge.
he the one that came in here and resigned one day with Matt?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one okay. Yeah, he was upset or something, came in and resigned in the middle of his term.
Oh, I don't remember.
I remember him.
So Madam Mayor, would you like a motion, 1 at a time, or would you like a list, or?
Well, let's just do a list. How about? Well, no, I don't know how we wanna do, how do we wanna do this?
Just go ahead and we can go ahead and make,
Let's do the citizens first.
okay.
So we need 1 citizen, so it would be between Cynthia Latham and, Matt Bednoitz. So I'd take a motion for the citizen.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion from, Matt Benoit,
Bednoitz,
yeah, whatever.
do I have any
Second.
other,
I'll second.
and do I have, any other motion for anyone else? Okay, so, I guess roll call,
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Rilla.
Yes.
okay, so Matt would be the citizen. Then for motel, we need 2. And we have, David Brenner,
And I think that's where we're a little confused. I believe Ms. Dowdy is already one of the motel representatives.
yes, I am.
So we only
Just
need
need
1
one more.
motel.
Okay,
The only thing that we're getting into is that there are no other tourist-based businesses other than hotels. And those are the only ones that are applying, so it's gonna turn out to where all of them are hotel owners.
Okay.
And, of course,
But
I
they,
think we're still within the scope of the definition of lodger's tax in the board.
and a business owner.
Exactly, and that they still, tend to tourism.
Okay. So we have Al Patel, Don Federico, David Brenner, and Harsh.
So out of the list, only appoint one?
No, we need to appoint.
We need two for the
Two.
motel? Well, you,
Honestly, I don't think it really matters,
I guess we need three because we need a
because
business.
they're all hotels
And they're all business.
and they're all
So we
tourist-based
need
businesses.
3 out of these 4,
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for Ms. Dawn Federico.
okay?
second.
All right, roll call please.
Sorry, guys. Mayor Litchfield,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Ganava,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
okay, so next we have Al Patel, David Brenner, and Harsh.
Al Patel is being very, very, very active, so I'm gonna make a motion for him.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for Al Patel. Roll call please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Ganava,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Okay, and we have Harsh, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, I apologize for that. Pardon? Shuck, okay, and David Brenner.
Well, David was there and quit, so I'm gonna make a motion for Ms. Marsh.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Ganava,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Okay, so our new members for the lodger's tax are Harsh,
Shuck,
okay, Al Patel, sorry, pardon, Don Federico, and then our, citizen is, I've got it here.
Bet North.
Yeah, Matt Bednoise, okay. That clear?
yes.
Everybody?
And then our fifth member, of course, she's Ms. Dowdy.
Sorry,
Yes.
everyone. This has been a lot. Okay, next on the agenda is our, excuse me, our, executive session. And this is, we're going, I need a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 10-15-1H7, subject to attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant.
Uh-huh,
Okay,
is there a typo?
all right, and, so that's the motion I need.
So I make a motion, we go into executive session.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Ganava,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
you guys would leave your mics here and I will make sure they're turned off.
Are we going into
It's a
your,
mess, but we could, yeah.
y'all are all welcome to stay or you can go. Okay.